Hello, hello, welcome in. You are back in the living room with us today. This is the Living Room Guitarist. My name's Dan, I'm your host. This is a show dedicated to playing this instrument. No matter what your skill level, no matter if you're a novice or a veteran, doesn't matter. We are here because we love playing guitar, we love learning, we love inspiring each other, creating our own stuff, learning each other's songs, our little riffs and progressions we've all made up over the years. We're not trying to go rock the local pubs. We're not trying to be rock stars. That ship has sailed. We're just regular folks with regular lives and jobs. Now, maybe some people play professionally or semi-pro, get a gig once in a while. Great. But really, so many of us. So my guest today is Raquel, and everyone's going to love you because, again, her name starts with rock. So, Raquel, welcome.
Thank you.
You are kind of an inspired Texas sort of person, right? Tell us a little bit about your guitar journey.
Texas singer-songwriter, Texas-inspired singer-songwriter.
Texas-inspired. So what does that really mean?
So it's that organic, rootsy kind of thing. So if you're a Willie Nelson fan or you hear those stories about how he was in Nashville writing country music, but he really just had this yearning to grow his hair and just be a little bit more rootsy and organic about things. And so that's kind of that vibe.
Okay.
Where it definitely feels like old country
Exactly.
or folk,
Okay.
which is what I do. And I started playing guitar in 1977 just based on a personal family friend who was playing music. And my dad surprised me with a guitar for my birthday. I started playing, arpeggios and finger-picking patterns and things like that. And then I stopped for a while and focused on my voice as my instrument, which is wonderful.
It is an instrument. If you saw like episode 9 or 10.
It's definitely, it's what I love to do, interpreting people's songs, and then that led to, speaking of progressions of some sort, that led to songwriting.
Cool.
Trying to put music to things that I had written down.
Yeah.
And that just leads, the more you play other people's songs, the more you start to want to write your own, the more you start saying, well, this kind of sounds cool, which is why I'm so glad to be here. Because I have something it's a D finger-picking thing that I don't know what to do with.
Okay.
But
These technical terms, D finger-picking
Yes.
thing. I'm sorry, we don't mean to talk over
anyone's head. I know. It's highly technical. Yes.
Yep.
I feel like Phoebe on Friends. Did anyone see that episode?
Probably.
Anyway,
but-
I digress.
So, listen, please subscribe, and if you want to submit something based on what you hear today or based on what you've heard in any past shows, we've had some really cool shows recently. It's livingroomguitars@gmail.com. We'd love to feature you on the show with your ideas, again, based on what you've heard, or if you want to submit your own stuff. You say, hey, I have this little progression, I have this little riff or whatever, or an idea for a song, maybe just the kind of the raw roots, and what can I do with it? So, we're collaborating in the living room with each other just because we want to get better and inspire each other and just discover and see what's on this fretboard besides just position 1, position 2,
Right.
and all that. But, even basic chords sound gorgeous. That's why they're there. So I'm going to shut up and just kind of let you play what you brought for us today, and then we'll kind of discuss it and break it down.
And I'm a big fan of open chords and playing that, along with singing and everything. So that's what led to this.
That sounds sweet. Doesn't that sound sweet? There's beauty in chords.
Exactly.
I think it's why they exist.
And that's why we love to add other musicians and people that can do what you do, adding all the flavor with the different types of solos and fret imagination.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here, folks. We share each other's stuff and we try to spark our imagination and challenge ourselves to become better and explore our own creativity on the fretboard. Where did this come from? Did you have an idea in mind? Oh, I'm thinking about this. This is where my head was at in this place, and you just had to kind of put something to music. And then what's happening with it?
This was I had a friend who had written a poem, and she said, "Are you inspired at all? Can you write something?" And I just knew that I liked playing around with this D chord, and I tried to turn it into a song. That is just basically. She gave me words and for some reason a D.
Yeah, and that changing bass note gives it some really nice flavor there. Cool.
But I don't know how to answer. It wasn't that it was just like, I'm sitting here and it was me actually consciously saying, what am I hearing when I'm reading these words, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's probably how a lot of songs get written, right? And so often it's up to the guitar player to make it work.
Right.
You know, that's great. So let's break it down a little bit. So
Okay.
it starts just on an open D, and you're finger picking it, right?
Finger pick, yeah, I guess they call it an arpeggio finger picking style where you are plucking it's the fourth, so that's the basic start of it. Hold on, let's try it again.
So you switch the bass note pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just that little triplet in a way, that little 3-chord
Right.
kind of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let me try it again.
So a C9, and then
Just
just
go
that.
slower, you can help explain
And
what
that
I'm
little,
doing.
yeah, so it starts, yeah, it looks like you're starting as just an open D and just picking it down. Just those three, you're not picking up that low string there. You're not hitting this.
Right.
But you're using that middle finger to change the bass note to a
this.
C. So yeah, then just going to a D with a B bass note basically. Yeah, and there's probably several ways you could play this. If you want to pick it up like that, if you want to speed it up, slow it down,
Exactly.
Just give it different feels. You can finger pick it, you can strum it. Let your own creativity and imagination run with it.
Just now when you said that, just strumming it
Yeah. Then
changes the song.
it doesn't, but the bass note doesn't pop as much, so it changes the whole mood there. But
Right.
but that's cool. We're getting together in the living room here, and we're just sort of sharing ideas back and forth, non-judgmental. Nobody cares how good you are. Nobody cares if you can go.
In my dreams, I can do that.
Well, but there's a reason Eric Clapton. This was pointed out to me by our guest last week, Mike. Is that Eric Clapton may not be the best guitar player in terms of like technical and speed and all this stuff, but he's got soul. His stuff. That's why he's nicknamed Slowhand, right? And you'll find a lot of guitar. David Gilmour's a little like that too, from Pink Floyd. It's not about just burning it up and there's steam coming off your fretboard here, because everything's so technical. It's got some soul to it, and that's what a lot of guitar playing can be like that. So again, if you're someone who can burn up the fretboard and those burning leads, fantastic, good. But there's a little bit more to it than that sometimes. So there's different ways to play this instrument. That's why I say nobody cares how good you are. What is a good guitar? I don't even know what a good player is anymore. There's technical accuracy and there's soul. Yeah,
Right.
and
There's feeling and mood
exactly.
and color.
And so yeah, we're trying to just become better as players. And I read this quote the other day. I wrote it down. It says, "Music is a wordless prayer that opens up our imaginations." If only I could have thought that myself, but at least I wrote it down. But isn't that cool? So, all right, you got a D, and then a C9, and then a D with that D bass note there, and then you went somewhere else with it too. Or is this?
I just thought that a C sounded good after that to a G.
Okay. Yeah. So
Or
let's,
this version,
Yeah. So that full G there.
my technical term, the full G.
There's names for all this stuff.
And then it goes to the C. Just speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds pretty too. And there's beauty in just basic chords like that, because you could build that into all kinds of things, right?
Right,
Yeah.
change it, a different movement of the song where you start strumming as opposed to picking, or I don't know.
Yeah. So if this inspires you in any way, and you start playing it and you just kind of go with it and see what happens and see what you can discover, please submit it back to us, livingroomguitarist@gmail.com, and let's see what our fellow living roomers can make of Raquel's song here. It's always good to start somewhere, so this is really a great thing to have. So yeah, I'm going to let you just play this out one last time while I keep my mouth shut, and then we'll see you next time on the Living Room Guitarist. Thanks so much for joining us. Beautiful start.